Thomas Caldwell, Atlanta empire builder, thought he knew his family. 2 sons. But at a bus station, his world cracked. A girl on a bench matched his mixed-race twins, Ethan and Lucas. Identical. How does a father lose a daughter, hidden by those he trusted? Comment below. Subscribe to Black Echoes. Thomas parked, twins bickering. "Stay put," he said. He needed coffee. But the twins stared at a girl asleep, her features, their mirror, his breath caught. She was his blood. Thomas's heart thudded as he approached, motioning Ethan and Lucas to stay back. The girl stirred, her eyes opening. Deep brown, sharp despite exhaustion. "I'm not trouble," she whispered, shrinking against the bench. "I'll go." His voice softened, steady despite the storm inside. "You're not in trouble." "What's your name?" She hesitated, scanning his suit, the gleaming car, the boys watching wide-eyed. "Harper," she said, her gaze locking on Ethan and Lucas. "They look like me." The words landed like a stone in still water. Thomas's mind raced. Coincidence? No. Something deeper, something hidden, called to him. He knelt, leveling his gaze with hers. "Are you alone, Harper?" She nodded, clutching a frayed backpack. Thomas's thoughts churned. Emily, his late wife, her black heritage, a point of scorn among his family. Had they hidden this girl? "Come with us," he said gently. "Just for tonight. We'll figure this out." Harper's eyes flickered with doubt, then softened, seeing Ethan and Lucas's curious stares. She rose, small but unbowed. As they walked to the car, Thomas felt it. A truth, heavy and unspoken, ready to unravel everything he thought he knew about his family's love. Ethan climbed into the back seat, whispering to Lucas, "She's got to be family, right?" Thomas didn't answer, his hands tight on the wheel. The bus station faded in the rear view, but Harper's face burned in his mind. Her resemblance wasn't chance. It was a mirror to his sons, to Emily's fierce spirit. He glanced at Harper, silent beside him, her eyes tracing the city's lights. What had kept her from him? Who had woven this lie? The road stretched ahead, but Thomas knew this was no ordinary drive. It was the start of a journey for truth. Could a stranger's face hold the key to a father's buried truth? As Thomas Caldwell stood at the Atlanta bus station, Harper stared back, her brown eyes a mirror to his sons, Ethan and Lucas. Her resemblance wasn't just striking. It was a quiet challenge, shaking his steady life. He knelt, voice low. "Harper, are you alone out here?" She nodded, clutching a tattered backpack, her gaze darting. "No family," she whispered, voice steady despite years of surviving on sharp instincts, reading faces to dodge danger. Thomas's chest tightened, Emily's memory flickering. Her warm skin, her laugh defying his family's scorn. "Ethan, Lucas, give us a moment," Thomas said, motioning the boys back. Their curious stares lingered, curls catching the fading light. He faced Harper. "You don't have to be alone tonight. Come with us. A safe place, I promise." Harper's eyes narrowed, honed by nights in alleys, weighing his kindness against betrayal's sting. She glanced at the twins, their faces her own, and softened. "Okay," she said, rising with a strength born of necessity. Thomas felt her trust, fragile but heavy, pulling him toward a truth he couldn't name. Ethan tugged Lucas's sleeve. "She's like us, right?" In the SUV, Lucas whispered, "She's got to be family, right?" Thomas's hands gripped the wheel, silent. Harper sat, her reflection a ghost of Emily's features, her fingers tracing the backpack's frayed strap. She'd learned to move unseen, to eat scraps, to trust no one. Yet here she was, risking hope. Thomas's thoughts churned. His family's disdain for Emily, her black roots, her humble start, echoed. Had they hidden this girl? The city lights blurred, but his mind sharpened, cutting through years of blind loyalty. Harper wasn't a chance meeting. She was a question, demanding answers only his family could give. What does it mean when a stranger's face unlocks a past you thought was complete? Thomas Caldwell couldn't shake Harper's image as he drove her to his Atlanta estate, her brown eyes and tight curls echoing his sons, Ethan and Lucas. The resemblance wasn't just uncanny. It was a silent accusation, pointing to a truth he'd never questioned. In his study, under the soft glow of a chandelier, he dialed Dr. Lena Harper, a trusted physician. "I need a DNA test, Lena," he said, voice steady but urgent. "Discreet. No records under my name." Her pause crackled through the line, but she agreed. Thomas's heart pounded as he glanced at Harper, asleep on a guest room couch, her small frame curled tight. Was she his? The next morning, Thomas watched Harper at breakfast, her cautious bites mirroring Ethan and Lucas's habits. The boys whispered, stealing glances at her, their shared features, warm brown skin, high cheekbones, undeniable. Thomas's mind drifted to Emily, his late wife, her black heritage a point of pride she'd defended against his family's sneers. Had they buried more than her memory? He collected hair samples from the twins, then from Harper's backpack, his hands steady, but his thoughts a storm. "This stays between us," he told Lena, handing over the samples. Her nod was grim, sensing the weight of what he sought. Days passed, each one heavier, as Thomas paced his study, ignoring calls from his board. The call came at dawn, Lena's voice low. "Thomas, the results are in." He drove to her clinic, the city's skyline a blur. In her office, she slid a folder across the desk. "They're not just siblings, they're triplets, genetically identical." The words hit like a fist, stealing his breath. Harper, Ethan, Lucas. Born together, torn apart. Thomas's mind reeled, flashing to Emily's delivery, chaotic with nurses' shouts and her exhausted tears. 2 babies, they'd said. Only 2. He'd held them, counted them, believed them. But now, the truth screamed. There was a 3rd. Harper, his daughter, hidden from him. The DNA report struck. Harper, Ethan, Lucas, triplets. Thomas's hands clenched. Who hid her? "Lena, get Emily's files," he said. She nodded. "This will hurt." At breakfast, Harper eyed the twins, their brown skin a clear challenge. "You're quiet," Lucas said. She shrugged. Thomas vowed answers. Comment below. Harper slept beside the twins, driving home. "We're okay?" she whispered, waking. "We will be," Thomas said. He'd find the truth. What family hides a child? Thomas sat in his study, DNA results burning. Harper, triplet with Ethan and Lucas, stolen. He requested Emily's hospital records. Truth bled out. The file landed. 2 births, Ethan, Lucas. A scratched note hinted a 3rd. Clara, Evelyn's friend, signed it. He called her. "Records are wrong." "Evelyn sealed them," she said. Thomas's jaw clenched. Deception. He'd get answers. The words struck hard. Evelyn, his sister, trusted with family affairs after Emily's death. A forged signature, too precise, screamed deception. Thomas's mind raced. Evelyn's gala smirk, her ambition unchecked. The family's scorn for Emily had let this grow, their silence a shield. He dialed an investigator, voice low. "Check Evelyn's hospital deals, starting with my son's birth." The man warned. This could break everything. Thomas didn't flinch. It already has. Harper's face, Emily's echo, drove him. He'd drag the truth out, no matter who fell. Thomas's fingers dug into the desk, the wood creaking under his grip. He remembered Emily's exhaustion after the birth. Her quiet tears he'd thought were fatigue. Had she sensed something wrong? The Caldwell clan, with their old money pride, had never embraced her. They'd called her an outsider, unworthy of their name. Had they turned a blind eye to Evelyn's actions? He pulled up an old photo. Evelyn at a family gala, her smile sharp, standing apart from Emily. The memory stung. If Evelyn had altered the records, she hadn't acted alone. The family's silence had enabled her, and Thomas felt the betrayal deepen. He paced the study, the city's lights glinting through the window. Harper's face haunted him, her brown eyes, so like Emily's, a living rebuke to his family's prejudice. He called an old contact, a private investigator, his voice low. "Dig into Evelyn's hospital dealings. Start with the night my sons were born." The investigator's tone was grim. "You sure, Thomas?" This could unravel everything. Thomas didn't hesitate. "It already has." He hung up, his resolve hardening. Whoever had hidden Harper had torn his family apart. The truth was out there, and he'd drag it into the light, no matter who it exposed. The house was quiet. Ethan and Lucas asleep. Harper tucked into the guest room. Thomas stood at her door, watching her sleep, her small hand clutching the blanket. She was his daughter, a piece of Emily, and the family's rejection of Emily now felt like a prelude to this lie. Their whispers about her blackness, her poverty, had built a wall around Harper's existence. Thomas's heart ached with guilt. He'd trusted his family, believed their loyalty. Now he saw their silence for what it was: complicity. The answers lay with Evelyn, and he'd face her to reclaim his daughter's place. Can a noble cause hide a sinister truth? Thomas's suspicions of Evelyn deepened, her name on records erasing Harper. In Emily's old desk he found Haven Network papers, Evelyn's signature scrawled, "Charity or lie?" Haven's ledgers showed millions offshore, no shelters. A list named Harper, age 7, vanished. Thomas's pulse raced. Evelyn's hospital roll hid this secret. "Dig into Haven," he told his investigator. "Evelyn's behind it. Harper was its victim. What's your take on hidden truths? Comment below." A memo marked placements the night Emily gave birth chilled him. Harper's name, crossed out, tied to Haven. Evelyn's ambition had thrived in the family's silence. Thomas called his investigator, voice low. "Dig into Haven Network. Evelyn's behind it." The man warned, "This is big, Thomas." He didn't waver. "So am I." Harper's face, Emily's echo, drove him. He'd follow the money, expose the lies. Haven held the key to why his daughter was taken, and he'd tear it apart to know. He sat back, the house still except for the soft breathing of Harper, Ethan, and Lucas, asleep upstairs. Harper's face, so like Emily's, was a reminder of what he'd lost. Not just a daughter, but trust in those closest to him. The Caldwells' rejection of Emily, their whispers about her blackness, had paved the way for this betrayal. Haven Network's shadow loomed, its purpose unclear but sinister. Thomas's resolve hardened. He'd follow the money, the memos, the lies. Evelyn had hidden his daughter, and whatever Haven Network was, it held the key to why. He wouldn't stop until it was exposed. The papers lay scattered, each one a piece of a puzzle. Thomas was only beginning to understand. He thought of Harper, her cautious trust, her strength despite years alone. She was Emily's legacy, a truth the Caldwells had tried to erase. Their prejudice had blinded them, letting Evelyn's ambition fester. Thomas's hands steadied as he marked a name in the ledger, Evelyn's. Haven Network was her creation or her weapon. He didn't know which yet, but he'd find out. For Harper, for Emily, for the family he'd almost lost, he'd tear through the lies to reach the heart of it. When does trust in family become a trap? Thomas Caldwell's world was unraveling, the Haven Network papers pointing to his sister Evelyn's betrayal, a lie that hid his daughter Harper for years. He thought he could protect his children, Harper, Ethan, and Lucas, while chasing the truth. But the cost of his pursuit came crashing down. That afternoon, a call from their school shattered his calm. The twins and Harper never returned from a field trip. His phone buzzed again, an unknown number. A video loaded, showing his children bound in a dim room, Harper's brown eyes wide with fear. Evelyn's voice hissed through the speaker, cold and final. "Surrender your shares, Thomas, or they're gone." His hands shook as he replayed the video. Ethan and Lucas silent, their tight curls matted with sweat. Harper, defiant despite her trembling lips, stared at the camera as if willing him to find them. Thomas's heart pounded, Emily's memory rising, her black heritage mocked by his family, now a silent echo in his children's faces. Had their prejudice let Evelyn's ambition fester, ignoring her cruelty? He called the FBI, voice hoarse. "My kids are gone. Evelyn Caldwell's behind it." The agent's response was clipped. "We'll trace the signal. Stay put." But staying put felt like surrender, and Thomas couldn't afford that. Thomas paced, video looping, Harper's courage, twins' fear. Evelyn demanded shares. He grabbed keys, ignoring FBI. He'd find them. The phone rang, Evelyn's voice cold. "You have 12 hours." Thomas's mind raced. Haven Network was her leverage, a web of secrets that hid Harper and now threatened his children. His fists clenched. He'd failed Emily once. He wouldn't fail her kids now, their lives on the line. He sat at his desk, staring at a photo of Emily, her brown eyes fierce like Harper's. The FBI called, their trace narrowing to a warehouse district. Thomas's resolve hardened. He'd go, despite the risk, because Harper, Ethan, and Lucas weren't just his children. They were Emily's legacy, a truth his family had tried to erase. The Caldwells' whispers about Emily's place had let Evelyn's cruelty grow unchecked. Now their faces, mixed race, proud, were a rebuke to that legacy. Thomas stood, the weight of their safety pressing down. He'd tear through Evelyn's lies to bring them home, no matter the cost. The house was silent, the kids' absence a void. Thomas thought of Harper's trust when she'd followed him from the bus station, Ethan and Lucas's laughter now muted. The family's prejudice had built this trap, their silence enabling Evelyn's grip. He slipped the photo of Emily into his pocket, her strength guiding him. The FBI's plan was forming, but Thomas couldn't wait. His children were out there, their brown skin a mirror of Emily's, their lives a challenge to the Caldwell's pride. He stepped into the night, ready to face Evelyn's world, to save his own. How does a child find courage when the world has taught her to fear? In a damp warehouse, Harper Caldwell, the daughter Thomas never knew, sat bound beside her brothers, Ethan and Lucas, their brown skin glistening with sweat under flickering light. Evelyn's men loomed nearby, their voices a low growl of threats. But Harper's eyes, sharp like her mother Emily's, didn't waver. She'd survived years alone, her mixed-race face a target for scorn. Yet here she was, not just a victim, but a spark in the darkness. Her small hands worked the ropes, feeling for a way out, her heart racing but steady. The rope bit into her wrists, but Harper's fingers found a rusty nail jutting from the crate behind her. She scraped quietly, each motion deliberate, her breath shallow to avoid notice. Ethan whispered, "Harper, what are you doing?" His voice trembled, his curls matted. "Trust me," she murmured, her tone firm despite her age. Lucas, wide-eyed, nodded. Their shared features, Emily's high cheekbones, warm skin, a silent bond. Harper thought of Thomas, his kind eyes at the bus station, and Emily, a mother she'd never known, but felt in her blood. She wouldn't let her brothers down, not now. The nail caught, fraying the rope. Harper's hands stung, blood slicking her fingers, but she didn't stop. A guard's boots scuffed closer, his shadow looming. She froze, heart pounding, until he turned away, muttering into a radio. "We're running out of time," Lucas hissed, his voice small. Harper's jaw tightened. She'd faced worse. Cold nights, cruel stares, the world's dismissal of a girl like her. The Caldwell's prejudice, their rejection of Emily's blackness, had left her invisible but not weak. The rope snapped free. "Stay close," she whispered, her voice a quiet command, her courage a fire igniting. She untied Ethan first, then Lucas, her fingers swift despite the pain. The warehouse was a maze of crates, its air thick with mold. Harper led them, crouching low, her bare feet silent on the concrete. A guard's laugh echoed, chilling her spine, but she pressed on, spotting a cracked window high above. "We climb," she said, pointing. Ethan hesitated, fear in his eyes, but Lucas nodded, trusting her. Harper thought of Emily, how the family's scorn had tried to erase her legacy. She wouldn't let it erase them. They moved, shadows in the dark, driven by her will. The window was narrow, its frame rusted. Harper boosted Lucas up, his small frame slipping through. "Go," she urged, her voice low but fierce. Ethan followed, scraping his arm, but biting back a cry. Harper glanced back, hearing boots approach. Her heart raced, but she thought of Thomas, fighting to find them, and Emily, whose strength lived in her. She climbed, her hands gripping jagged metal, ignoring the sting. The guards shouted, their steps thundering closer. Harper pushed through, landing outside beside her brothers, the night air sharp. They ran, her courage their guide, refusing to be caught. The woods swallowed them, branches snapping. Harper led, eyes sharp from years dodging threats in alleys, her brothers close. She didn't know the path, but freedom called. She'd learned to vanish, to outsmart danger, skills now guiding them. Harper wasn't just saving herself, she was saving her brothers, Emily's legacy. They moved, her heart steady, carrying them toward Thomas. How deep must a betrayal run to tear a family apart? Thomas Caldwell stood in the shadows of an Atlanta warehouse, FBI floodlights cutting through the night, his heart pounding as agents surrounded the building where Harper, Ethan, and Lucas had escaped Evelyn's grasp. His sister's voice, captured on a hidden wire, echoed in his earpiece, admitting to hiding Harper, to manipulating the family's legacy. The truth wasn't just a lie. It was a wound carved by the Caldwell's disdain for Emily's black heritage. Thomas clutched her photo, her brown eyes urging him forward, demanding justice for their children. The FBI stormed in, their shouts sharp against the warehouse's hollow walls. Thomas stayed back, his breath shallow, listening as Evelyn's voice faltered on the wire. "I did it for the family," she hissed, unaware of the trap. Harper was a mistake, like Emily. The words cut Thomas, each one a confirmation of the family's prejudice. Emily's blackness, her humble roots, dismissed as unworthy. He thought of Harper's courage, her face so like Emily's, defying that hatred. The agent beside him nodded. "We've got her." Thomas's fists unclenched, but his heart still raced, needing to hear it all. Dr. Clara Hayes, the physician from that night, stepped forward, her voice trembling over the radio. Evelyn paid to alter the records. She wanted Harper gone to secure the trust. Thomas's blood ran cold. Emily's death, sudden and unexplained, now felt tied to Evelyn's schemes. Had the family known? Their silence, their sneers at Emily's place, had let this fester. He remembered their cold glances at her, calling her an outsider. That prejudice had cost him a daughter, maybe a wife. Clara's voice broke. Emily suspected. She fought for her babies. Thomas's eyes burned, Emily's strength haunting him. Evelyn's defiance cracked as agents cuffed her, her voice rising. "You'll ruin us, Thomas." He stepped into the light, facing her. Her eyes, once so familiar, now held only venom. "You ruined us," he said, voice low but steel. "You stole my daughter. You betrayed Emily." The family's legacy, built on pride, had crumbled under her ambition, shielded by their bias. Harper, Ethan, and Lucas were safe now, their mixed-race faces a rebuke to that shame. Thomas felt Emily's presence, her love guiding him. Evelyn looked away, her silence an admission, her power broken at last. Evelyn's hands shook as agents cuffed her. "You've lost," Thomas said, voice firm. Her silence confessed. Emily's photo warmed his hand. Evelyn's greed was exposed. Harper's return answered prejudice. Thomas would rebuild. Justice began. Can justice heal a family scarred by betrayal? Thomas Caldwell stood on the lawn of his Atlanta estate, the dawn's golden light soft on his face as he held Harper, Ethan, and Lucas close, their brown skin warm against his. Evelyn's confession still echoed, her schemes laid bare, but the victory felt hollow under the weight of what he'd lost. Years with Harper, Emily's trust. The Caldwells' prejudice, their dismissal of Emily's black heritage, had fueled this pain. Now reporters swarmed, their questions sharp. Had Thomas gone too far, bending laws to save his kids? The answer lay in his children's eyes. He tightened his arms around them, Harper's small hand gripping his. Ethan and Lucas pressed close, their curls brushing his cheek, their mixed-race features a mirror of Emily's strength. The crowd's accusations stung, claims he'd abused his wealth, his power. Thomas felt the weight of their judgment, but also the family's deeper sin. They'd shunned Emily, called her lesser, their silence letting Evelyn's cruelty thrive. He whispered to Harper, "You're home now." Her nod, fierce like Emily's, steadied him. The world could debate his choices, but he'd fought for his children, for the family Emily deserved. A reporter shouted, "Mr. Caldwell, was it worth risking everything?" Thomas faced them, his voice calm but firm. "My children are my everything." The cameras flashed, but he saw only Harper's courage, Ethan and Lucas's trust. The Caldwells' legacy, tainted by bias, had nearly cost him this. He'd heard their whispers. Emily's blackness, her humble roots, unworthy of their name. That prejudice had blinded them to Evelyn's greed. Now, Thomas vowed to build something new. "I am starting the Haven Foundation," he said, "for kids like Harper, forgotten by those who should have cared." The crowd hushed, listening. Thomas led his kids inside. Harper's eyes shone. Ethan chattered. Haven was redemption. No law beat his kids' lives. Thomas knelt before his kids. "We're together," he said, voice thick. Harper's smile echoed Emily's. The Haven Foundation would rise, a beacon for the forgotten. Social media split, hero or vigilante. "Would you risk all for family?" Thomas asked listeners. He'd chosen love over rules for Emily's kids. What legacy does love leave? Harper, Ethan, Lucas painted Emily, her smile fierce. Haven thrived. A girl found home. Join Haven, link below. Thomas knelt, She'd be proud. Harper nodded. You too. Haven valued every child. Kids laughed at Haven's event, Emily's heart in each step. Share your story. Link below. Harper handed him a brush. Paint with us. Thomas joined, heart full, strokes blending Emily's image. The kids' laughter rang, a healing song. Haven stood for the forgotten, defying prejudice. Emily's spirit shone in their faces, her love eternal. Thomas spoke, voice thick. We'll keep going. For her. For you. Ethan nodded, Harper's hand steady in his. The lesson shone. Trust family. Act for others. Join Haven's mission. Link below. Share your story. Your act could save a child. Haven was their light, Emily's hope, guiding them always.